Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be alright.
What's up and welcome back to Freeway Findings, everyone. Today we're going to be recapping a tough Week 9 loss against the New Orleans Saints. And that's really what it was. It was a tough loss against a very good home team with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And that's what Drew Brees is. Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think he's the second best quarterback of this generation. Yes, better than Big Ben, better than Rodgers. I think Drew Brees is the best quarterback not named Brady. I didn't even say he's better than Manning. But, everyone's freaking out about this game. Just take a deep breath. Go. That's what you need to do. Just take a deep breath. The season's not over. It's one loss. The Rams are going to be a playoff team. That's just a fact. I mean, let's look at it this way. One team in NFL history has gone 16-0. And I know the Dolphins went 14-0, but okay, two teams went undefeated for the season. But the New England Patriots, when they went 16-0, they had the greatest quarterback ever. Possibly the greatest, I say number 2, but top 3 wide receiver of all time. And then they had Wes Welker, number 2 threat, would probably be the franchise player on half of the NFL teams in 2007. So that's what it is. That's what the standard of perfection in the NFL is. And the Rams don't have that. Jared Goff, while I'm really high on him and he's a great player, he's not given the respect that he deserves. Jared Goff is a great quarterback, but he's not Tom Brady. No one is Tom Brady aside from Tom Brady. And, just to throw a little bit of stats out there, let's take a look at some of the NFL teams that have gone 15-1, where their losses came, and what those losses have in common. Okay, last team to go 15-1, 2015 Carolina Panthers. Their first loss was a Week 16 loss against the Falcons in the Georgia Dome. All right, let's go to the Packers. Week 15 at the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 2 loss against the Ravens in Baltimore. 2004 Pittsburgh Steelers that went 15-1. Not the most famous 15-1 team because they got bounced by the Patriots, but just to refresh people's mind. And then the 98 Minnesota Vikings that went 15-1 and probably had the greatest offense prior to the 2007 New England Patriots. They went 15-1. Their first loss came against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. And then, of course, the 15-1 85 Bears. Their first loss came Week 13 against Dan Marino in Miami on Monday Night Football. So you notice a pattern with these teams that go 15-1. The pattern is that they lose tough road games. And that's what the Rams lost. Now, am I saying they're going 15-1? No, but that's the comparison right now. I think they'll be pretty close to 15-1. Probably, I said 14-2 or 13-3. I didn't expect them to go 16-0. And you can't expect someone to go 16-0. That can't be the goal for your football team. The goal for your football team is let's win the division and let's win the Super Bowl. Worry about the amount of victories we have later. And the Rams probably only need to win 2 more football games to win the division, which, believe me, they're going to win 2 more football games. Their next game is at home against the Seahawks. Then after the Seahawks, this is big, Week 11 at home against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This one, the Rams had a really tough game on the road. This time, they have a tough game at home in Los Angeles. That's big. And then the rest of their season is they play the Lions. They should win that. The Bears, I mean, this isn't the 85 Bears. The Bears are good, but the Rams are better than the Chicago Bears. And then they play the Cardinals and the Niners, who are decimated by injuries. Oh, and I missed this before the Cardinals, they play the Eagles. The Eagles have been slumping all season. The Rams are a better team than the Eagles, and they host the Eagles and they host the Kansas City Chiefs. They have to go to Chicago, but that's their lone cold weather game. Is the Chicago Bears in week 14. But now let's just go over to the New Orleans Saints for a second. They won. This is a big game for them. They have a chance to have this be the deciding game for who wins the NFC Championship or who has the number one seed. Now, do I think that this is the last game that the Saints lose? No. The Saints have some really tough games ahead of them. They have to play the Bengals in Cincinnati. The Bengals are not a bad team. I thought they were a bad team, and I said that in a couple of my early videos over on Sports from Coast to Coast, and I got it wrong. The Bengals are a good team. The Eagles are a good team. The Falcons are a good team. Now, the plus for them is they get the Falcons and the Eagles at home, but then they go to Dallas, then they go to the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers beat them in week 1. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to happen again, but the Buccaneers they're just the biggest question mark in the NFL. 1 minute you say the team's falling apart and everyone needs to go, and then they win games. But, I mean, they didn't win this week, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Buccaneers are just the biggest head shakers in the NFL. 1 minute they're terrible, 1 minute they're good, and it's just all over the place. And then their last 3 games are against the Panthers, at home against the Steelers, and then against the Panthers. So those are 3 back-to-back-to-back games against teams that are probably going to be fighting for playoff spots. The Carolina Panthers have been as good as the New Orleans Saints. And those 2 games in week 15 and 17 are going to decide who wins the NFC South. So, is this the last game that Drew Brees loses, or is week 1 the last game he loses this season? I don't know. I don't think an NFL team is going 15-1 this year. But let's talk about the actual game for a second. Jared Goff was great. The past couple of weeks, the offense has not been clicking the way it was in the beginning of the season. It clicked today. It was great. Jared Goff got screwed basically by his defense, and Greg Zuerlein missed a field goal, which ultimately that didn't matter. And then the Rams decided to go for it on that fake punt, which whether or not it was a first down, I don't know. I've seen people say that it was a first down. I thought it was. I couldn't see a clear enough angle to say whether or not it was a blown call, which that's why they didn't give the Rams a first down, because it wasn't clear. There's 2 ways to define a ruling, or 3 ways to define a ruling. Overturned means that they saw clear evidence that the call was wrong. Confirmed means that they saw clear evidence that the call was right. Call stands, which is what that call was, is the call was made. There wasn't enough information to overturn the original ruling. So they said, we're not saying it's wrong, but we don't have the information, or we don't have the ability to see if it was wrong. So we're going to leave it the same. And that's what they did. And you can't really fault the officials for that, because either way you're going to get flack for that. You're going to get flack from Rams or Saints if you overturn that. So, I mean, say that in both of those instances they go for the field goal and they make both of them. They're still down by 4 points. And that's what I said coming into this was going to be the underlying issue of this game. Neither of these teams are great on defense. Now, the Saints have the number 1 rush defense in the NFL. Yeah, they held Gurley at points, but Todd Gurley still had a Todd Gurley-esque game. It wasn't like he ran over the Saints' number 1 ranked pass defense or run defense and made everyone say, well, we really screwed up ranking them number 1. But Todd Gurley was still great in this game. The Saints had the 28th pass defense in the NFL. So that's what this game was. It's Todd Gurley facing the number 1 run defense, and They did what they had to do. They held him when they needed to. Yes, they gave up yards, but when you're facing the guy who's going to finish 1 or 2 in the MVP voting, that's what's going to happen. You're going to give up plays to him. And that's what the Saints, I don't think, will play Patrick Mahomes, but unless they play him in the Super Bowl. But that's what's going to happen. They're going to give up plays to him. And also, they don't have a good pass defense, so. But that's the thing. You give up plays to a guy who many people think is going to be the MVP. And then the Rams have not played defense well. Aqib Talib getting injured has not crippled the Rams secondary because they've won 5 straight games since he's been out, or they won 5 consecutive games after his injury. So the Aqib Talib injury did not cripple the Rams secondary, but it definitely has hurt it. And Aqib Talib is going to be a big asset when the Rams get him back. And their secondary is once again going to be formidable once they have the number 1 guy, Aqib Talib, who was the fixture of the no-fly zone Denver Broncos defense. Now, that was 3 years ago, and Aqib Talib has regressed since then, but Aqib Talib is still a very good corner, and it was a very good pickup by the Rams to get him. And then Marcus Peters blew that last coverage. Everyone is going crazy and saying that he needs to be cut or benched or whatever. Just relax, take a deep breath. Everyone does something at some point. Marcus Peters just blew the coverage at the worst possible time. If he blew the coverage and it was the touchdown to put them up by 7 points in the first half, you're not saying throw him off the team. Marcus Peters made a mistake. It was a bad mistake at a bad time. But those happen to everyone. The greatest corners will make mistakes. Deion Sanders makes mistakes. And Marcus Peters is not Deion Sanders. So relax on that too. The Rams have a game against the Seahawks, which they're going to win. That'll make them 9-1. They'll have a very tough game against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And there could be a possible Super Bowl preview. We don't know. But it's going to be a tough game. But this time, it's at home. And that's been the key for the Rams. They've had some tough games. They've gotten them, most of them at home. They got the Vikings at home. They have the Chiefs at home. They have the Eagles at home. The one tough game they had on the road is the Saints. And then I don't know how tough the Chicago Bears are. They're a good team. But we've seen the Bears get lit up by Brock Osweiler. So it really depends on how your viewing of the Chicago Bears defense is. But if the Chicago Bears on your upcoming schedule are the toughest road team that you have to face, you're in a pretty good situation. So that's all I have to say about this, is that it's not the end of the world. You can't expect every football team to go 16-0. It's just not going to happen. There's a reason why it's happened once. And there's a reason why between the New England Patriots and the 72 Dolphins, there was that long of a period between it. Because it doesn't happen. You look at the norm, not the outlier. And the outlier is a perfect season. So just take a deep breath. The Rams are still going to go to the playoffs. And once they go to the playoffs, we'll see from there. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to Freeway Findings. Follow on Instagram and Twitter. Coming up, I plan to do a full World Series recap from the LA perspective on this channel, and then over on sports, from the average baseball viewer's perspective, and then also maybe combined, maybe not combined, an MLB free agent preview, and then maybe, who knows, I'll throw in something about the Kings firing John Stevens, and then the Lakers and how they're doing. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching.